Okay, everyone, exciting news. I am going to start a company, and that company is already selling the best yellow hats in the world. Here's the thing. I'm looking to raise some money to blow this out of the water. We're gonna invest in inventory. We're gonna hire more people. And so I'm gonna take the company public. And what's that gonna do? It's going to allow me to sell shares of my hat company to you and anybody else that's out there. But guess what? You're gonna need something in order to be able to buy shares of my company. You're going to need a broker because I'm not going to sell them to you directly. You're going to have to buy them on an exchange. Broker, exchange, public. What is all this? Today, we're going to talk about brokerage accounts. So if you're new to investing or you've been wondering what a broker is, stay tuned. We've got it all here. I'm going to demystify all this for you. I'm going to give you 5 things that you need to know about brokerage accounts today. And stay tuned for the last one because it's going to be 4 steps that you can implement today to ensure success when opening up a brokerage account. I'm Ian Group from Ian Builds Wealth. Thank you so much for watching this video where we're going to talk about brokerage accounts. First of all, this past week has been awesome. I launched a brand new ebook, 10 tips you need to know to stick to your budget. It's live, it's available. I'm gonna link to it below. You got access if you are on my email list. So download the ebook, I'll automatically add you to my email list. When you're on that list, you'll get emails every Monday, 5 tips, and I will also send people on my email list exclusive emails when I drop new free things like ebooks. More to come this year, so make sure you're on it. But that's not why you're here. We're here to discuss brokerage accounts. So before I talked a little bit about my fake yellow hat business, but that would be pretty cool. Shout out to FlexFit for making these awesome hats so I don't have to do it. But what happens when a company does actually go public? Well, they issue shares of stock, right? Those shares function as little slices of ownership in the company. And some companies even redistribute profits that that company makes to the shareholders in the form of dividends. And by owning shares of stock, the value of that specific share can actually go up. It can also go down, but it can go up. And the idea, as you own pieces of companies, you want those companies to perform well and sell and make money so that not only can you get some dividends and some of the profits, but that your shares appreciate in price. But how do you actually buy a share of stock? Shares of stock are sold on an exchange. This is where I can buy shares of stock that are being sold by somebody, or where I can sell my own shares of stock. And that's why share prices fluctuate, because stock is sold on an open, free market where people can dictate what they buy stock at or what they sell stock at. Ultimately, it evens out to a share price where you can buy it, but you need to buy it on an exchange. Think of an exchange as kind of like a Facebook marketplace, but for stocks. And examples of exchanges that you might have heard about are the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ. To get access to an exchange, we need a broker. Think of the broker as a middle person between buyer and seller. All of this buying and selling used to be done manually with people on a trading floor screaming at one another. And if you've seen any of the movies in the 80s or whatever, where people buying and selling stock, it used to be crazy. None of that happens anymore. It's actually all computerized. And that's how a lot of these brokerages have managed to actually not charge fees anymore, because the cost to trade is super low since it's pretty much done by computer programs now. So how would you get a broker to actually do this trading for you? Well, it's pretty simple. Most of them are available online. You could sign up online, and all you have to do is create an account. Now that you have some basic knowledge of shares and exchanges and brokerages, let's talk about 5 things you need to know about brokerage accounts. Before we dive into it, I just want to mention we're strictly talking about taxable brokerage accounts. We're not talking about retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs, or anything like that. They may come up, but the tips I'm giving you right now are about taxable brokerage accounts. Number 1, how does a brokerage account work? So when you're buying and selling, the broker is actually taking care of all the trading for you. To get access to their services, like I said before, you just have to create an account online. Most let you do this online, no initial deposit, but in order to trade, you have to fund the account. And it's really simple to do it. Most of these brokerages will have an onboarding process when you sign up for your account, prompting you to do things like connect a checking or savings account, and then ultimately transfer money. You cannot trade, can't buy stocks unless you've got money sitting in that brokerage account. And once the money's in there, it kind of functions like a checking account. It's a little bit different than a checking account. You're not going to have a debit card or anything like that. And bank accounts are totally separate. another topic. When the money is sitting in there though, it's just sitting in there until you actually use it and invest it. Now, once you go to invest it, you're gonna just click some buttons. You're gonna type in a stock symbol, also known as a ticker, and it's gonna ask you how much do you want to buy. You'll select some options, and then ultimately, when you click trade, on the back end, that broker is actually going out and buying shares for you. Once the trade goes through, you will literally own that stock in your investment account. Your cash is gone. It now was used to buy stock the same way I would go out to Facebook Marketplace and use my money to buy a sofa. Now I own the sofa, cash in somebody else's pocket. And look, you can have as many brokerage accounts as you want. It's not like a Roth IRA where there's a contribution limit or a 401k. You can have as much as you want in a typical brokerage account. Okay, so number 2, how do I choose a brokerage account? Well, let's look at 3 factors to start. Number 1, fees. Do they charge you a fee to trade? Is there a minimum amount of money that you need to keep in the account? Most of the brokerages out there right now have fee-free trades, so you shouldn't have to pay money for this. Also, brokerages like Fidelity don't even require a minimum. You can just create the account and then fund it. So I would really look for no fee trades and 0 minimums when opening up a brokerage account. The second factor to look at, customer service. Do they have customer service numbers that you can call if you need some help? Again, I have a Fidelity account. If I wanted them to place trades, they would charge fees if I have them do it, but I don't need them to do that. I could do that on my own, but sometimes I just have some questions and I want to be able to get somebody on the phone. That's something that's really important to me. And I remember a long time ago when I actually signed up for Robinhood, they didn't have that. When I had questions, I had to wait a really long time for email, and that was not sufficient for me. So that's why I switched to Fidelity. The last factor in picking a brokerage would just be how easy their platform is to use. If I want to just be able to check in on my stocks, if I want to make trades, if I want to just do some research and see what else is out there. All of these are going to make up whether a platform is easy to use, and I would really consider that when you're looking at a brokerage. Look, you can have as many brokerage accounts and different bank accounts and whatever as you want, but if you have one login to go look at everything, I think that really makes a difference and just helps overall as you track things. So consider where you have other things. If you don't have anything like retirement accounts, then you might want to just pick a place like a Fidelity, Ameritrade, Schwab, whatever it is. See which one you like the most. Go watch some YouTube videos that actually walk you through those platforms. Pick one and then just stick with it. They all basically do the same thing, but having everything under one roof is gonna make your life a lot easier. And by the way, of the broker site NerdWallet reviews, the ones I just mentioned actually have the highest reviews. TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, and Schwab. I personally have a Fidelity account, but again, go out there and you can look, there's so many options. The third thing you need to know about brokerage accounts is my money taxed? And that depends on what you're doing with it. Now, this is not meant to be advice. If you really need tax advice, go talk to your CPA or an accountant. So make sure you're doing your research. But there are 2 types of tax you need to know about. There's ordinary income tax and there's long-term capital gains tax. Ordinary income tax is the tax that you pay on your paycheck. You make money, you make a gross amount, you get taxes taken out every paycheck, income tax, right? If you own a stock for under a year and you buy it, you sell it, and you make money, you will get taxed the ordinary income tax rate. Just treated like money you made at work. But if you hold the stock for longer than 12 months and you sell it, it gets treated differently. The government actually prefers that and they give you a tax benefit. And the tax rate that gets applied is typically lower. It's called long-term capital gains, and the tax rate is 0, 15, or 20, just depending on what your income. But overall, the long-term capital gains rates are lower than the ordinary income tax rates. This is why being a long-term player in the stock market benefits you, because you actually get more favorable tax rates when you sell that stock. The fourth thing you need to know about brokerage accounts is whether your money is safe in a brokerage account. When you have money that's just sitting in a brokerage account, uninvested, it's basically sitting in there like it would be sitting in a checking account. You can withdraw that money, you can transfer it back to your bank account, it's your cash. But once you buy stock, that money was now used to buy shares in a company. That company is traded on an open exchange where it's subject to risk. That price can go up, it could go down. So once you own the stock, keep in mind, the money is technically not safe in the traditional sense that you're gonna wake up and know the value of that cash the next day. It's gonna be sitting in stock, the value of which can go up or down. But another way to look at safety is just in the reputation of the brokerage. Is it a secure website? Do they offer multi-factor authentication and all the the basic standard internet security things you would want. It's really important that somebody doesn't get access to your brokerage account, right? They could sell the stock, they can liquidate it and add another bank account and just transfer it to them. So you want to make sure that you've got a complex password, multi-factor authentication. You want to make sure that there's online and mobile access. These are table stakes today, right? You want to pull up your brokerage account from your phone. You should be able to do that. The brokerage that you choose should have an app, and one that's easy to use, by the way, right? And then also a good brokerage will have resources available for you to research or to learn about stocks. But this to me is what makes up a safe brokerage, whether they're doing things to protect my account, whether they're investing in the customer experience, and also providing me resources to the extent I need it or I need to get in touch with somebody, that they're there. These are all things that I would look for in a brokerage account before I decided to put my money in there. The last thing that you need to know about brokerage accounts are my 4 steps to ensure success when opening one of these accounts. So step number 1, I alluded to this before, but you're going to want to connect your checking account or savings account. But you need to create a bridge from the cash that you have so that you can actually invest money. That's the point of opening a brokerage account, right? To invest. So you need a way for money to get in there. And if you don't have a checking account and you're thinking about opening a brokerage account, you got to do the checking account first. So go to a bank, go open up a checking account, put money in there, direct deposit, whatever it is, and then you can get money into your brokerage account. So once you've connected a checking or savings account, the next thing to do is to automate deposits into your brokerage account. Why? Well, this is going to allow you to invest consistently. We're not up to the investing part yet, but if you try to do this manually, it's just not going to work as well. I mean, let's be honest, the money's sitting in your checking account. You'll probably go out and spend it. You'll forget to do it. Automation is key in just making this easy and repeatable. So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is to buy regularly. If you can automate the investments, that's great. I'd have it in my calendar once a month. When my money goes in on the 15th, I go in to my account and I buy, but you can set this up daily, weekly, monthly, whatever you want. Just make sure you're doing this on a consistent basis. So we've got 3 steps. You're connecting your checking account, we're automating deposits, and we're buying regularly. Now, the cherry on top is number 4, to reinvest dividends. Once you get part of the profits from a company or an ETF in the form of a dividend, I love to reinvest that money because it just amplifies the compounding growth that can happen over time. And I'm a long-term investor too, so I don't need that income because I work. I want that money to work for me. And so this is just an added bonus, and I have it automatically going back in to buy more shares of stock. And now you might think your dividends are really small, you don't have a lot of stock. That's okay, because in a good broker, they would also offer fractional shares, which allows you to buy a portion of 1 share of stock. So don't worry about these small dividend amounts. That can buy fractional shares, and over time, those shares add up. And more shares give you more dividends. So it's a good cycle. Keep it going. Those 4 steps that I just gave you are going to keep that momentum going for a really long time. So there we have it. All about brokerage accounts. I give you 5 things you need to know: how a brokerage account works, how to choose a broker, whether brokerage accounts are taxed, whether your money's safe in a brokerage account, and my 4 steps to ensure success in a brokerage account. Now, if you're ready to take this to the next level, go watch my video on Investing 101, which is going to talk about a lot of the basics of investing. Until next week, I'm Ian Group from Ian Builds Wealth. Remember, be smart out there. The smart decisions you make today are going to make you rich tomorrow. Don't forget to check the show description for all of my resources. Join my email list for 5 tips every week, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you again next week.